Young Camilla is over a year old at this point, which in Fae terms is ancient. Is she still worth it? That question's a little more nuanced, and we'll get into that and all of the Fate's Hall of Forms that we've got here. Let's jump into it. No one is shocked at this kit. The thing you want to pay attention to is that the preference weapons here are still very usable. It means we won't be looking as much at axes or B skills. Let's go over exactly what they do though. So Axe of Dusk, the thing you want to pay attention to, the thing that you should zoom into is the uncapped true damage. And this is based off of bonuses and penalties which are everywhere and continue to be a thing that IS grows. I mean, how many times have you seen someone click on the little icon and have these just page of solid effects that a unit has? And while that's a bit of clickbait, it's also the way the game has gone, and I see that continuing well into the future. Let's look at Tut Tut, and the piece here is that pass and then the warping to any terrain. Those two alone are incredibly valuable, but underrated here is the 50% piercing that it gives to this unit and to allies. This is still on the rarer side and can really help your team out, especially if they're older units. But obviously here the Divine Vein Haze and sending that out regardless of range to the nearest unit is incredibly good because of the ability for this unit to warp to that space. We'll look at some options for this B skill, but I mean, obviously this is the thing you are going to keep right now, and by the time this is power crept, there will be better skills in that spot. But it's Hall of Forms, and if you're picking this unit up, then you absolutely want to get as much value as possible. Let's look at optimal builds. Now, all right, we'll go over the nuke build first because I think this is the more traditional thing, and this is the thing you're going to see everywhere. These are the value picks here. Shadow Slash is still very rare and good on this unit. I like it better than Arch Rival. Arch Rival is better specifically if you're going up against blue units, but I think, well, obviously that is not every unit. And right now, I think you want to be able to attack as many types of units as possible. So I think Shadow Slash is going to be your pick there. Blue Sky Gust, it just has true damage. We've talked about it a little bit, but we're at a point where I don't mind so much if there's overlap with a little bit of a skill and a preference weapon or preference skill itself. The reason is skills do so much right now. The skills now just dwarf the original weapons and even weapons that were, 4 years ago. It's crazy to think of the length of text there versus the length of text you're seeing in some of those older units. The C skill is where things get really interesting there, and I'll have a lot of options for you. I think Null Uplift is really nice, especially on this kit where it adds true damage, but no, C skills, especially for flyers, depend on what your team wants to do. Now, the other build. For those of you who have watched me for any amount of time, you know that I am obsessed with auto battling. Listen, most of you are not going to want to pick this up, but if you already have a built up unit, getting distant attack speed solo, Gale Force Mist, and Strat Assault 4, what you're doing here is you're creating something that gets as many actions as possible so that when you hit auto, you can just wipe out maps in single clears. Especially when you pair this unit with Shadow Lyn, then the range gets even crazier. So, is everyone going to want to use this? No, absolutely not. This may or may not be something that I'm going after, but I refuse to admit to any of that. As far as people that this unit's great with, clearly Elise is #1 on the list. They are best friends, sisters, and they're just phenomenal together. Everything about Elise pairs well with Camilla, and it's one more place where IS continues to pick favorites and build around those units as they go. But other units are Hilda. Giving Brave out to this unit means you can do something else with the emblem slot there. And then anyone that gives you true damage, I've got Plumeria up there, but understand even she's a little dated at this point, and there are better options, but I think she is a generic placeholder for this unit gives you true damage, and it's amazing. So that brings us to our next topic. I'm going to touch on it here because I want to show you this build. This is my build. I use this build constantly. This build still works really well. The fact is, Trample's not as good because of Hardy Bearing, but there are still places where you don't have Hardy Bearing available. Miracle allows you to survive a lot of things because, you know, he drops you down to 1 health. And then if you have Reflex, which is easier to get, suddenly you can hit back very, very hard. This is one of my favorite builds right now. Fatal Smoke 4 is kind of the icing on the cake. This is an older skill, but it works really well with what this unit wants to do. So, all this to say, if you're feeling FOMO and you don't have a Forma for this unit, understand that a lot of what we're doing with this Holoforms is icing on a cake that's already made. This unit is good, period. And the other stuff we are giving to her enhances her a little bit, but at her core, the thing that makes her good is her preference weapon and her preference B slot. So, if you wanted to give this to her, I think you could work just fine. But if you want to go all out, let's talk about the different skills. All right, we talked about A skill. I want to briefly go over, so Blue Sky Gust versus Attack Airspeed. I find that in the wild, I do about the same amount of damage and it doesn't really tip things either way. The thing that I find is the real difference is the way the Canto works. Attack Speed Airspace has a flat 2 Canto, and Blue Sky Gust has a Canto Distance Traveled max 4.
But I'm begging you.
So for units like this, I think Blue Sky Gust is far and away the better pick. If you are doing more of a support type unit, Hilda comes to mind, but any of my Dancer units that I want to get Canto on, I will try to get Attack Speed Airspace instead, because fixed Canto on a support unit where they're not moving as far is very, very valuable. So in summation, I prefer Blue Sky Gust. If your playstyle more requires a flat 2 for the Canto, then Attack Speed Airspace is better. If we look at Strat Flame, the neat thing about Strat Flame is it's throwing out, more, fire terrain. So it's not only clearing terrain that exists, but it's spreading the area that this unit can go. Now, it's a little less significant than you'd think because this unit is already up there, but understand that that is an advantage, and I mean, it does give you some nice stats as well. So it's a great skill. And the last one is Distant Attack Speed Solo for all of you just maniacs who want to auto battle the crap out of this game. For B skills, the only real reason I can see you replacing a B skill is if you have this unit merged up and want to use them in Arena. I've seen plenty of her in Arena. The thing I'll warn is that when you take out Tut Tut and replace it with Heavenly Soar, this unit loses a lot of what makes her magical. So I've got it up here. I do think it's her best B skill that's not Tut Tut, but anyway. Favors up there as well. That's something you can get, but again, you're going to be using her preference B. It's just going to be the way it goes. For C skills, what do you want to do? Null Speed Uplift is going to give you more damage. This unit already has no follow-up, but it does help your other teammates with that. I love it. Fatal Smoke is still probably her best C skill. I think specifically in Aether Raids. Aether Raid's offense is where I use this unit most, and being able to inhibit healing on units like Valley is huge because, yes, it still does take her 1 hit to get her down, but then I can outsource that and have someone else take, that 1 more HP out instead of having to have Camilla attack that unit twice. It's a bigger deal than you think. It's only on 3 units, but 1 of them has been in the codes in Gununga Gap. It's still not easy to get, but if you've got it already and you already have it on this unit, then definitely look at these others. I feel like these others are a little more exclusive is the thing there. Once we get past that, you get to things that help your team as opposed to really helping this unit. Strat Assault isn't going to help this unit, but the mobility that it gives your teammates is really something special. I really like it. Instruct is definitely an option. This unit has high enough attack and speed that she can spread it around. The last one I've got up here is the Hold Guide skills. This one's attack speed, but I mean, this is whatever you'd like there. Attack speed's probably her best, but giving your team extra mobility, specifically this unit is on defense, can be very, very handy. So just keep that in mind. Specials, we talked about Shadow Slash. I like that better than Arch Rival. Gale Force Mist, we talked about it a little bit. Gale Force Mist is kind of a luxury pick, but I will say if you are a Gale Force nut, then having that instead of Shadow Slash and just getting your damage elsewhere is very, very powerful. For me personally, I'm struggling on which one of those to get. I would love it if I could get both, but well, they haven't allowed that yet. We'll see that. Maybe an update for this next round. But if you're asking what you should go after, it's definitely this nuke build. I am looking for a little more specialized use of this unit. So I will probably be going for the other build, but this is a fantastic build for this unit and you should absolutely go after this one. And don't listen to me. Don't get a Holoforms unit for auto battle. That's craziness. No one in their right mind would do that. Next up is Brave Corrin, who recently got a refine and it was good. A lot of people are really dogging on it. It's not as bad as folks say. The problem, and I hear you, Corrin fans, personally, I was expecting for something spectacular. It was just good. But yeah, her preference A, Realms United, I'm not even going to go over it. It's DC and a few extra things, and we just have better stuff right now than that. But one more thing I want to talk about. The speed. The speed is weird. It's middling. I think you are better served if you forget about it altogether. This is one of those things where you would have preferred for this to be in defense or res, because that amount of speed, either the unit's going to be so fast that they blow this out of the water because this is not elite speed, or it's going to be just a wasted skill because you outspeed the other unit so much. That's just where this unit is at. It's not perfect, but keep in mind, stats have never mattered less. So there's that. If we look at Valistone, there's a couple things you want to look at here. I would have loved for the supportive abilities to be better than Draconic Hex and Null Penalties. It's okay. The Divine Vein Stone is very handy, especially now that we have more things to counter young Camilla. And we didn't talk about that before, but she definitely has seen kinks in her armor in the way of the Roy Ring and the Lucina Ring, which will help this unit tremendously. It gives this unit a lot more bulk, but there's a lot of good stuff in here. The only thing that I don't see that I really wanted to see was piercing, and I know I harp on this way too much. What is going on in the meta is they are upping the amount of percent DR. It's getting to crazy levels, like sometimes we see 80%. So even if you do have percent having, that drops it down to 40, which is still a very high number. But what that means is any units without piercing are just out of luck. Like it is an absolute necessity. But as has been mentioned to me many times, there are other ways you can get that on a unit, and it's really hard to get on armors. So for now, we're going to look past it. So let's talk about builds. And the thing I want to remind you is that this unit was, even in its inception, she was really meant to be an arena unit. That's, if you look at all the skills, that's where her leanings are. And I think she can still stay true to that with a score of 770. Just for reference, that is where Marnie is scoring right now. And that's one bin off of the highest scoring Grail units right now. And that's what I'm doing with this arena nuke build. More and more for armors, and particularly for all the free score bots I've been seeing. I see less and less of saviors because it's just so hard to have saviors versus all of the craziness that goes on in that mode right now. And instead I'm seeing them converted into support or tank units. This is more in the nuke area. The way this works is she's got Micaiah Ring and she can draw back and drag a unit up and then have extra range through Strat Assault 4 and really do a lot of damage there. Strat Flame Force specifically in that mode gives you, the fire terrain that helps burn away the very annoying ice that is just everywhere with the Corrin Ring. And then you have Patience, which is really the only good scoring B skill that you can put on her. I will say though, I think it does fit nicely. Right now with patience, what I'm seeing is that the use of that on offense is you are knocking off the general flow of how specials work. So especially with this unit in Scowls, it's particularly nice. So this unit can go in and they're initiating, but the other one attacks first. And normally they would have their special ready, but because you've knocked that off, they don't get their special. And this unit does charge up their special, which Armored Flare, Armored Ice Cap, they're both very nice. I'll talk about them briefly here. This unit has close enough defense and res to where just pick your favorite. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to meaningfully influence your matchups. But yeah, I like those two. I like the mobility of Strat Assault 4. This is a good build for your arena usage. The other one is you can build her into a tank, and this is one of those things. ADR Slam, I wanted to pair that with Patience, but obviously you can't because, you know, ADR Slam has Hardy Bearing and Patience relies on, you know, Forced Desperation. So here pair up works fine. Just remember that pair up does not score, which is why I don't have this on the Arena Nuke build. So but putting this unit in Aether Raids, especially with the Roy Ring, can really help you out. I've got Attack, Defense, Briar, Physical Save, which I think is a really nice C skill on her. Remember that does have a little like the light version of Reflex on there, which is nice. This is something that you can absolutely use in Aether Raids because of the Roy Ring and the Lucina Ring and any number of different buffs that tanks have gotten recently. If we're looking at units that this unit works well with, obviously giving this unit Reflex in Arena is always good with BK, but also anything that helps along with this unit's survival, like Time Dollar, you know, freezing out the most powerful unit that the other one tries to throw at you. If we're looking at skills, we talked about the specials already. It really is a wash, guys. You can sit here and analyze it for hours. In practice, in the wild, it matters a lot less than you think it does. For A skills, I really like ADR Slam because of the rarity. But just remember, if you're going to use this unit in Arena and you'll need Patience for scoring, then that's not a good combo for you. For B skills, we talked Patience, pair up. You're using Arena, you're doing Patience. You're not, you're using pair up. And for C skills, so Strat Assault 4 is probably my favorite there, but remember that in Arena, having something like Higher Ground inhibits the warping of the other team, and that can be very valuable. So that's something you should keep in mind there. Instruct, this unit does have the stats to do Instruct if you want to use that. And then the Briar Physical Save that you have. Really any save that you want to put on here is great. I think that one is probably the best suited though for this unit. If you're asking me my preference, I'm going to assume that most people who want this forma already have her merged up. A fair amount at least. And I think this unit is actually a very nice arena score bot. So that is the build I'm going to suggest here. But just know that if you're wanting to use this unit as a tank, as some kind of save, then I think the other one will work better for you. Either way though, these are a lot of good options for this unit. I have Corrin desk mats in the store. I love this. A lot of this art comes from the book that's very hard to get. It's an art book called If. Fantastic, just beautiful art. Get this for your desk. I have a lot of these. I love them all. I rotate them out. Let's get back to the episode. Next we have Duo Elise, and the thing I will say is that Duo Elise is great because she's a healer. There's so many things you can give healers right now. There's so many useful things you can do with them. They are better dancers at this point. So if you're a fan of this unit, you can absolutely upgrade this. The warning I will say before we get into this is it is highly likely that what you want to do is just take your Forma La Rochelle and just give her all of La Rochelle's skills. And that is a fantastic way to go. I do think that La Rochelle's staff is better than the Dusk Dawn staff. But speaking of, let's go over that real quick and talk about it. This is the Dusk Dawn staff. It has Dazzling in it, Slaying, no follow-up, and cooldown acceleration, which was huge at the time. This was what she was known for. After combat, if unit attacked, you put Flash on all the targets and you splash it +2. That was such a phenomenal effect at the time, just devastating. This unit was really, really nice on the hybrid cav lines that came out at the time. The duo skill giving out dominance, which is still good, and doing defense res -7 to 3 rows and 3 columns, because I don't know. Dominance is good though. That's a nice duo skill to have. And keep in mind you get that regardless of whether you switch out the weapon or not. That's just inherent to the unit itself. Let's look at the builds. I have left Dusk Dawn Staff up, but again, Arcane Latana is objectively a better staff for this unit. I try to limit the number of special things that I give that are outside of holoforms though. So again, that is a different thing. If you want to go that route, then just re-kit it that way and skip this format altogether. Back to this though. So what this unit really hinges on is whether you want Ice Lock Plus or Guardian Plus. And those are two different things. What I will say about Guardian Plus, I love Guardian Plus more in theory than I do in practice. Handing out near save to units is just so much fun, and that as a gimmick, it's really neat. But I have tried it out, and I use it a lot less than I thought I would. It's one of those things that I like better on paper. I probably prefer Ice Lock better on this unit, but again, there are easier ways to get it, so I just keep that in mind. I believe both of them are in the code, so if you try one out and you don't like it, know that there is a way to get around it. I think Ice Lock and throwing ice down is still very, very valuable. We are still very much a terrain dominated meta, so that's where we're at right now. As far as the charms go, I put Windfire Charm here. Deluge Charm is something interesting if you are trying to dodge the attack liberate because you're getting it somewhere else. But we'll talk about that in a second though. The A skills, listen, let's focus in on the nuke build here. What you're trying to do is just maximize the amount of damage you're doing with this. And so that's where the attack speed aria comes off. Remember that only gives true damage when Windfire Charm goes off, but there are just not very many options for healers or ranged calves in general. Attack speed Hone Assault, I think you guys are tired of hearing me say, if you have other ways to get piercing, do some of these other skills, just flat out. But if you don't, that is a very nice thing to have. And it is nice to have a unit that is self-sufficient so that you can worry about getting other stuff on them in other ways. When I talk about the save support, so the way this is kind of designed is that you're using Guardian, but you're also supporting that unit whatever you can. Instruct 4, this unit has enough attack and speed to give that out to other units. You'll notice the Squad Ace CT, and that is boosting up attack speed and res. So I'm trying to boost up as many stats as possible to be able to give out to an instruction to as many units as possible. So I keep that in mind. This is a fun build. Both of these are. Let's look at skills in general, because I think this is probably a better way to look at this specific unit. For the A skills, I've got Sway attack speed on there because I wanted to show you options, but you're gonna get Aria. Just get Aria. The only reason in that save support that I don't have Aria is because I am trying to use that S slot to boost up my stats so that I can then get better use out of Instruct 4. But I think you're gonna want to get Aria. I think you will be much happier with that choice. For B skills, Preempt Amplify is just fantastic. I really, really like that one. I think that is going to be the way that you want to go as well. I do have Call to Serve up there as well. The big difference is you're getting the null bonuses on your opponent. For one, that's become fairly common, but for the other, Preempt Amplify just gives you so much more. I will say Defense Res Shackle is really nice for any kind of supportive builds, passing that off on other units, and it also gives you damage as well. It's nice, but this is one of those things where I think you're probably just going to want to go with Preempt Amplify. For the C skills, we talked about it. Attack speed, hone assault. Giving piercing is valuable, period. The other thing is you don't get as many things on this unit as with other units. We talked about instruct, but liberate is also a very good thing to have. If you go the liberate route, make sure you're watching out which liberates you're giving out. This is where Deluge Charm really comes into play because it's giving you out speed and res liberate. You can get attack speed liberate, then you only get the benefit of attack, but it is one more thing you're going. It's kind of hard to get all of them right now, but I just make sure you're paying attention to that. But overall, I mean, you've seen this before. C skills are, for supportive units, are very dependent on what team that you're putting this unit on. If you're asking for the way I'm going with this unit, I prefer the nuke build on this. I think this has everything I like on there. The attack speed, hone assault, also giving out, piercing to other people, I think is very nice. And making this unit into a dancer is a lot of fun. So this is nice. Again, there is the option of just using Arcane La Rochelle and just dumping that on this unit. And you get, you get most of the benefit out of this. So it depends on what you want to do and how many formas you have. But I do think this unit is very usable, obviously, in PvE. It's very rare that you don't have some kind of use there. But as a dancer in Arena Assault, I have been replacing my dancers more and more with units like this. So I think this is a fun way to go. Keep that in mind. And if you're an Elise fan, I think this is a fantastic build for you. Next, we have young Leo. And Leo's always an interesting unit. Always. This is no exception. Let's just jump right into Tome of Dusk. Actually, no. We need to talk about stats. High attack, high res. And there are actually a lot of good things for units with that combination. We'll talk about skills when we get there, but Tome of Dusk. So, Canto, Slang, refreshes action after a rally or movement assist. And you guys know what I'm going to say. This is prime candidate for this being a dancer. This unit has a lot of other great stuff. After unit acts, giving out gravity, especially in a day where we have a lot of warp inhibiting, is way better than you think it is. Seriously, it is a thing that is underrated. But also having times pulse and getting cooldown down. I don't show it here, but having this unit as an AoE nuke is absolutely something that you can do. Overall, this is not a weapon that is dominant in the traditional sense where it just blows things up, but if you have this unit as a dancer and a secondary nuke, I think this is a really nice way to go. The only thing I will say about dancer calves is the movement restriction tiles are a pain. They just are, as opposed to like flyers that can just move over everything. But let's look at builds, or rather build. So usually this is a bad thing when I only have one build. This one is a little different though. And the thing I want to really zoom in on is the fact that all of these skills are very specialized and most units can't use them. Attack res detect aerial is a great example. I think it's a fantastic skill. And there are so few units that it works on. It works here. This is a fantastic use of this, as well as truly inspired. It has that res check. Attack speed Aria. Okay. I do have to put a little disclaimer on attack speed Aria. I like this. I like this a lot. If we're talking about as optimal A skill, really, it's crystalline water. It is for what this unit wants to do. It's crystalline water. Now, this unit already comes with crystalline water, so I'm not going to suggest that. But just know that you might find yourself switching back to what his base kit was. But I've got logic up here, but know that having an AoE is very powerful with a unit with a visible 73 attack. If you look at skills, and the reason I didn't go further with another build is there's really only one skill you want to swap, and that is the detect aerial or favor. So this is a case of something that is neat versus something that is practical. If we're being honest, favor is probably the more practical choice. But I am finding that I have more and more favor units around and I'm using them more. And so if I pick up a formula like this, I want something that's a little bit different, a little bit unique. And Detect Aerial on this unit is just so perfect. And there are so few units that can also use this. So what I'm going to tell you is, if you also have a lot of units with favor, or even just a few on your core, well, even just one on your core, I would go with Detect Aerial. If you don't, favor is really good on this unit. So just keep that in mind. For suggested builds, it's the only one I had. As far as places to use this unit, I mean, we just talked about it, but I have been slowly replacing my dancers and my arena assault teams with units exactly like this. This is a fantastic arena assault unit. If you're a Leo fan, I think this is a great pickup for you. If you're curious about why I think that Fortune's Weave will compare so closely to Fates, go check out this video. Go check out the Corrin desk mat in the store. Members, you are amazing. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.